I think the root of a lot of these problems is the total overspending in this country, and the fact that the President of the United States doesn't seem to really care. The President doesn't care. He went out campaigning. He doesn't give a damn about reducing spending. My question is, how can you force him to come to the table and do something about the spending, not in 2012, but right now?
Look, if there's somebody in the room that you agree with, you want to cheer for him, please go ahead. I'm all for that. But we're also taking time out of our personal lives to come. Let me finish my statement. If we could refrain from booing people, and may I finish?
No, listen.
Okay.
In the previous administration, I went to a lot of town halls with the last person who held your seat.
Yeah.
And it got ugly. I was threatened with death for wearing a hat with her name on it, the Obama event. So you've asked the people that we cooperated, we all be nice. But you were swept into office by people that really weren't nice, and you didn't lift a finger to say, hey, let's chill. And these people were carrying guns. So it's a little late for you to be condescending to us.
I would like to finish my statement. I'm going to ask that we all respect one another in this room. And despite the emotions and the passions that some of us bring for the issues, let's be respectful of the individuals that we're referencing, whether it's the President of the United States, whether it's a House member or a Senate member. And I would end with this. This is not my seat. This is the people's seat. My job is to be here to try to do my best to reflect everyone's views. And I understand that there is a lot of passion and a lot of emotion. It's why this job is so important right now. And I believe that despite some of the differences of opinions that we have in this room, I think and I believe that there are 4 things that we can agree on. So let's try to find those things. Let's put our energy into what we agree to, rather than to divide the country farther. Now, relative to Tom's question on spending. Spending is a very emotional issue right now. As the President's Budget Office and the CBO agree, the deficit that we have is about $1.6 trillion. The debt that we have is 14.3, and the 10-year projection of the proposed President's budget continues those numbers, and there are policy reasons behind them. I think that we need to, I think we're at a serious point in our economy. I think we're getting to a tipping point. I think we've got to be awfully serious about how we solve the problems that face us. I don't think it's good public policy to run $1.6 trillion deficits. And at the last town hall meeting that I was at in Plastown, I asked anyone who believed that it was good public policy to have $1.6 trillion deficits to raise their hand. And, okay.
Better than a depression. Better than a depression. I'll take the deficit over a depression.
Well, I think that we can get through. I think we can get through the economic conditions we're in without having a depression, but also being responsible fiscally to taxpayers. And I think that ought to be our goal, is how do we get those numbers back into balance. I think most people live their life that way. I think most businesses run their businesses that way. We as taxpayers of our local communities require and demand that our municipalities govern in that fashion. So let's have a productive conversation about how we can get that done. Now, I happen to believe that we can find efficiencies immediately. I happen to also believe that all of us in Washington need to lead on this subject, and we all need to present ideas on this subject. And I believe that it is so immediate, the need is so immediate, that if we don't do this, we're going to be in far worse shape, and we're going to have far less flexibility and choice about our futures. I happened to be listening the other day or watching MSNBC, and Barney Frank was on. And I was interested in listening to what he had to say. He was being interviewed, and he made 3 points. I think most people here know who Barney Frank is, right? Congressman from Massachusetts. Most of us know where his politics are. He said 3 things that struck a chord with me. He said we ought to get out of NATO. He said we ought to move to a premium support plan for Medicare. And he talked about reducing taxes in this country. Now, if I can stand in New Hampshire and say those things, Barney Frank can stand in Massachusetts and say those things, I think there's hope for this country to move forward and find common ground. And I also think we have a responsibility to do it in a constructive, positive, engaging way. And that's why I want to continue to hold town hall meetings and listen to what people have to say and take the ideas that you have and try to formulate good public policy around those ideas. And I hope that the end solution is progress for the country, results for the country, and the freedoms and economic freedoms that we've all enjoyed, we preserve those for our kids and our grandkids. Next question.